One of the things that you wrote about was that purpose is personal.
Yeah.
Can you unpack that a little bit? Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So I think there's 3 things that I've learned about purpose in my life. Maybe they resonate with you guys too. I hope they do. But number 1 is that purpose is personal. In other words, it's related to our story. It's unique to each of us. I'll come back to that in a second. The second part of it is it's always painful. Like underneath purpose, there's something painful that's happened to us. Maybe something painful that didn't happen. Like that sounds crazy, but a lot of times it's not just what did happen, it's also what didn't. Maybe we weren't loved in the ways we needed to. Our questions weren't answered. Do I matter? Do I belong? And so we went
withheld or
withheld
withheld.
Totally, or somebody passed away, or you lost dad, or you lost mom, or somebody didn't protect you in some sort of way. Every human being has these things, right?
It's kind of like the hero origin story.
That's
There's
right.
usually a point of pain, right?
So it's always personal. There's always some sort of pain, around it. And again, that doesn't always mean deep diving pain. It can also just mean pain, like something difficult, hard. And then lastly, it's always powerful. The personal part is the part we most avoid. So many of us are pretty familiar with the pain. We're pretty familiar with even what it means to step into the powerful part of our purpose. But until you've really gone back into your story and you've looked at what took place in my childhood, and it is those developmental formative years of where the foundation, the concrete mix is brewing in the truck and it's getting poured out and spread out, and we are learning about love. We are learning about our value. We are learning, and all of us have gaps inside of that time of our life on some level. And that's part of where God works his greatest miracle if we're willing to go back. And that doesn't always mean, trauma healing for all of us and deep recovery work or counseling or therapy. It can. And I highly recommend, partnering with a biblical counselor in that. It's founded in the gospel, but the reality is it's always personal. It's unique to, Tim's story and Stu's story. And when we lean into that, we see something very fundamental about the way God sees us. And for me, I had to go back into my own story and look deep within, and I won't make the whole thing about me, but as I did, that gave me such a perspective on the way my father made me and what his unique thumbprint was on my life.
Father,
and
all
what
caps.
I carry, all caps.
Father, okay.
All caps, Father. And it was so helpful. And it continues to be the reminder of like, my dad made me like this. Like this is a part of, so my tenderness or my heart or the way I see the world or the fact that I can walk into rooms and feel people's emotion without them opening their mouth and perceive what they're feeling. My dad made me like that.
Yes,
and the enemy hijacked that for much of my life, and it turned it into, they don't like you. They don't see, you can tell they don't
now
like
you
you.
got to go please.
Now you got to go perform.
Yeah.
Versus
Earn it back.
You go back. And again, uncovering that wound, however great or simple it might be, was the beginning of uncovering my work. And quite literally the work I do now in the world is helping other people heal from their wounds.
That's amazing.
Amazingly, literally brave work. I don't know if we mentioned that, but that's the name of your
company.
What you do, and
that's what we do.
And what you did, brave work. You're not just talking about it.
Yeah.
So with it being personal, painful, and powerful, like you're really saying this leads to healing. How would God use this really to heal the lives of men, have that impact their families, their churches, their community?
Yeah. So I think of like our wounds as the well in which we source all of our energy from.
Okay.
It's crazy. So your well is either been healed or you are covering it up. So we call it suppression or exaggeration.
Okay.
And so you're doing one or the other. So in that well is the contents of your life, your lived experience. And the more healthy, if we could use like a water term, like the more alkaline balanced your water, the more equal, healthy your water is, the better the flow of your life will be. And so you're not striving in relationships, you're not performing, you don't feel like the weight of the world's on your shoulders, which I did for most of my life. You don't feel a need to people please. You don't feel a need to be codependent. You don't. And it doesn't mean you don't struggle with any of these things. It just means you're very keenly aware of when you're dipping into old ways and old patterns.
Yeah.
And so for every man who's like, I want to live deeper in my purpose, but I got the strain of bills and life and all these different things. It's like, man, the deeper you go into that well with the person of Jesus, the more you will see how he sees you, and you'll realize you were never made to carry that. So the mantra that was put on my house when my father left was, son, he said, you're the man of the house. Take care of your mom. Take care of your sister.
And you were how old?
7 years old.
7.
So every time I go, I did it in the parking lot before I got here. I started thinking about all these different business decisions we got to make and places and people pulling at me and the different things and responsibilities and all that. And what do I hear? I hear 2 voices. First voice is usually my own. Gosh, I got to figure all this out. That's the man of the house.
Yeah.
And then I go, Holy Spirit, what is true about that? And he goes, I'm the man of the house.
Oh, I like that.
And so if I'm familiar with my wound, then I can hear my father's voice every time it comes back up and it tries to speak. And it speaks all day long. It just does. But that's part of my sanctification. That's part of him going, I'm going to make you into my image, not so that you can walk around as like a floating spiritual person, like so that you can actually be grounded in your deficiency, power made perfect in weakness. And that's the beginning of what it means to be a man. Like a man has faced his inner world, allowed the Holy Spirit to speak to him about the truth of what's really going on and who he really is. Constantly, continually. This is the act of what it means to live a brave life, that we continually surrender so that why? We can be more like Jesus. Jesus lived in a posture of continual surrender. That's what it means to not walk with him, but walk like him. So that's the aim of our life. We should be an open book before God constantly. Why? Because we're sourcing our outer activities from our inner world.
Okay.
So he has access, and some men in my life have access into my inner world. Why? Because the more healed I am, the more whole I am, the more I can reflect my Father's image in the world, and I'm not fighting for control over my own image. And so it brings peace, it brings perspective, it brings relationship, it brings the right people into my life. I attract people that are attracted to him, not just Pedro's gifts or talents or abilities or deficiencies. And so it literally creates a playing field. And then you go to your kids. I don't have to teach my kids all the time about identity. They are with me and they understand what it means to be a Latori because their father has spent time with Jesus. And so when my kids are going through things, I'm not reactive. Why? Because my father's not reactive with me. He responds. He comes down to my level. He looks me in the eye. He addresses the feeling, the fear, the sadness, the loneliness, the shame. He's not afraid of my emotional realm. When we're afraid of the place that Jesus wants to heal, where we will literally live enslaved to that place. And then we're trying to follow him. And it's like, man, why would you ever follow a healer and not let him heal you? And dude, I did that for most of my life. I walked with the healer, talked about the healer, and I never let the healer heal me. And so the work of manhood, the purpose of our lives is not to do things for God. It's to become like him. And if he surrendered, if he laid his life down, you look at what it means to be a husband. Husbands, love your wives in what? The way that Christ loved. And he laid his life down. Well, you can't lay your life down if you're not willing to see it. It's impossible.
Yeah.
How do I lay something down if I've never looked at it?
Yeah.
If I've never been honest about this happened to me as a kid, this is what I went through, this is what I did, this is what I didn't do, this is what dad did, this is what dad did do. Not to shame and blame and not to be a victim, but to take ownership of the very story that God had been writing with my life. I believe when we surrender, we see redemption. Now I see God moving through all the places I used to hide, and it's literally become my work. And now it's helping other men, families be restored, pastors, leaders. Why? Because I'm simply allowing God to heal those parts of me. And now it's invitational to other dudes who are like, what's that? Like, and it's not Pedro, it's let the Lord in.
Yeah.